You want to get started with freelance writing, but you don't know where to begin. After ghostwriting over 500 books and counting, these are 5 things I wish I would have known when I got started freelance writing and ghostwriting online. Number 1, write your own book. This one is big, and I understood the moment that I wrote a book and that I published it. I understood the importance of receiving feedback and reviews on your content. Once you know what works and you find your style of writing and you know what resonates with others, then you can continue to do that for your clients. Everyone is different. You may like writing content for clothing, fashion. You may be the type of writer, you like copywriting, you like writing copy for businesses, and that's your thing. And guess what? Publish a book on whatever it is that you want to teach, whether it's fashion, dog training, just anything you can think of. When you can write and you have that book that you published, not only do you get that practice and the experience, but you also have that and you can include that in your portfolio as a sample of your work. So that's very important, and it gives you some credibility. It actually, when you talk to someone and you can actually let them know, hey, by the way, I published a book, that says something about you, and it actually makes you stand out, especially to other clients and people that you may want to get hired by. And what's cool is that the more you write books and you get into that flow of writing chapters and you understand what it takes to communicate an idea. And you can do that for your clients, whether it's you want to get hired as a freelance writer or you may even want to be a writing coach, which is something that's pretty cool. Number 2, identify what you're passionate about. When I started writing and I advertised myself as a writer online, and it was specifically on Fiverr, I was advertising myself as a Christian writer. I went straight niche. I was like, you know what? Yes, I can write about other things, but I'm going to write about what I love writing about. I'm passionate about Christianity. I'm Christian. I'm a woman of faith, and I love writing all things, devotionals, and I love writing about, just little different things that I've learned in the Bible, or maybe like a Bible study or some type of a learning material that people can use to teach a specific Bible verse or a Bible book, chapter, you name it. I also love writing about mental health. I have a decade's worth of experience reading literature on mental health. It's something that I'm very passionate about. And I love writing about mental health through the lens of faith. And it's one of the things, so I advertise myself as a Christian writer. And because I did that, my clients, it just narrowed it for me. I went very specific. So all the clients that I received that were coming for me and they were asking about my work and my samples and all that good stuff, they were coming for exactly what I was passionate about writing. So for me, it didn't feel like work. It just felt like, oh, good. Now I get to do this for a nonprofit, a ministry, a specific, a pastor. I was part of many different conferences. I worked with a nonprofit organization, 2 of them, as a matter of fact, here in Miami for, writing their blogs and their content for their workshops and things that they hosted online. And I felt it was a great experience and it came easy to me and I learned a lot. Number 3, when you become a freelance writer online, you cannot think about money. You can't think about, okay, I'm going to make $1,000 in 1 week, or I'm going to make $200 in a couple hours. Although that is true and it can happen, and I've done it before, where I'm like, okay, I charge $200, but it's only taking me 2 hours to execute and to complete, which is amazing. However, initially in the beginning, when you have 0 samples in your portfolio, the first thing that you need to focus on is getting those reviews. Remember, people buy what they see other people buying. So whether you're in Fiverr or you're in Upwork, I'm actually on Fiverr. I was in Upwork for some time, but I prefer Fiverr. I'm going to go ahead and click the link down below so you can check that out. If you want to become a freelance writer on Fiverr, you can go ahead and click on my affiliate link and you can check that out. Being a writer online and getting those reviews, every time I got someone asking me about my services, the first thing that they said was, I read your reviews. That was key. As soon as I started getting those messages, oh my God, I read your review. I really want to work with you. Reviews was what got me the 5-figure income per month. You can make a full-time income online, but the one thing that's really going to, get you there is having those reviews. And guess what? In the beginning, that means that you're going to have to sell something. Sure, you want to make the $700, per client, or the 500, the 1,000, the 2,000. Yes, I get it. You want to make money, you need to eat. You need to put food on the table. However, in the initial phases of your freelance journey, you need to get those reviews, which means my first gig, the first project that I ever completed for a client online, I lowballed it completely. Like I charged this person $5 and it literally took me, I want to say, more than 4 days, like in a row, worth of work. But I did it because I knew that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to charge them $5 because I just want their review. I want them to be happy with my content. I want them to leave me like a stellar review. And they did. And I continued to do that. It went from $5 to $30 to my first big sale online was $140 for I think it was like a 5,000 word book, an ebook. And for me, that was like, oh my gosh, someone is paying me $140. I don't have a lot of experience, with writing books, but I did it. But mind you, I had already written 2 books online, published on Amazon KDP. So I had that under my belt. But for me, it was a big win, $140. And it didn't take me a very long time. And I got another review. So every single review that I went after, for me, that was a win. I knew that in the long run, and you have to think long term. In the long run, those reviews, those initial reviews, those first 50 reviews are what's going to make you the long-term money. For me, I knew that I didn't have a lot of experience, and coming into it, I felt extremely bad charging $1,000. And to be honest, I didn't know, the outcome. I didn't know whether they were going to like my content but after a while, the cool thing is that once you have those 50 clients and you work with 100 people, you kind of get in a zone. And once you're in that zone, you know what people are looking for. You already have racked up some samples that you can share, and it just becomes way easier. And just charging people, oh my gosh, it becomes so much easier because you know your worth, you know your content, you know the value that you bring to the table. So trust me. So the money will come, but you have to focus on those reviews. And I wish I would have been told that when I started my journey. Number 4, let's face it, you're going to suck. You might think, oh my God, I'm this amazing writer, but you're going to get a client that's going to blow the lid off and they're going to let you know the truth. True story. I had a client and it was one of my first clients on Fiverr. And I remember that he bought a package of 12 blogs for his website, and he was helping males like men come out of their addictions. So all the blogs that I wrote had to do with mental health and recovery and healing from past trauma, which is they're topics that I'm familiar with. However, although I was like, man, my blogs, with each blog, I gave it my 100% effort and every blog was like amazing and he was super satisfied. Even then, it was actually very embarrassing for me as a writer. I didn't have any fancy like software. So I only used the Microsoft Word editor. So for me, I'm like, man, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I edited through Microsoft Word. We're good. I delivered the 12 blogs. He loved it, but he's like, hey, I think you need a better editor. There's too many errors on each of your blogs. And I was like, oh my God. For me, I was totally embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm going to go ahead and back. He's like, no, don't worry. I'm going to go ahead and edit. I have Grammarly. And I was like, wait, what's Grammarly? And I'm like, at the time, this was a couple years back. And I had no idea what Grammarly was. So when I found out and he was telling me about it, he was so kind, by the way. And I was able to, I bought Grammarly Premium, which I'm going to go ahead and put the link down below. If you want to be a freelance writer, you really need Grammarly like now. It's going to elevate your writing. You're going to sound more eloquent and it's going to come across more professional. And that's what you want. You want to come across as professional. Your writing has to be error-free, especially if it's going to be publishing ready on a blog, on a website, especially if it's copywriting, sales copy, or it's an ebook that's going to go on Amazon KDP. You do not want your client coming back and saying, hey, by the way, I found errors in my ebook and now you have to go back and edit it and now you have to do it for free. So yeah, you want to avoid that. So you're going to suck in the beginning and there are things that you're going to realize that you're going to find out that you have to polish and you have to work on. To that, I say, learn as much as you can, read as much as you can. Quality writers read quality content. Embrace every single mistake. It's all valuable in the end. And number 5, find your voice as a writer. I actually came across, in my journey of writing, I came across a lot of clients that were like, you know, this is not what I'm looking for. After spending hours on their content, they're like, no, you know, this is not what I'm looking for. This doesn't sound like me. So it's very important that you find your voice as a writer, draw up those examples, and you have to send them. You have to provide your clients with your style of writing, your voice as a writer, because a lot of times your client is looking for something specific. It might not be conversational style of writing, but rather it's more like research and more technical. And so it all depends. You have to know who you are as a writer, find your voice so that you can be able to communicate that to your client, and you're going to find a lot more success that way. One of the things that I wish I would have known is not to commit to every single project that comes at me for the sake of money. Sure, in the beginning, when people are willing to pay you $500, $800, maybe even $1,000 on any project, it is very tempting to take it and be like, you know what? Yes, I'll figure it out. But what I have found is that, and it happened to me several times where I'm like, you know what? I think I can do this. I'll go ahead and research it. And yes, it works sometimes. And in the end, the client was happy. They were extremely ecstatic with my work. Wonderful. I did have other moments where I thought the content that I wrote was, you know, spectacular, you know, 10 out of 10. And when they received it, it was definitely not what they're looking for. So it's very important that you have as many examples as you can of how you write and how you communicate in writing, because that way you give your client a taste of what they can expect. And in the end, you want to be you. You want to go ahead and, even though as a ghostwriter, sure, you're basically selling your rights to any piece of content that your client is going to go ahead and use as their own, but you still want to be you and you want to come across as authentic, especially when you want to develop long-term relationships with clients. And when you are authentic and you're very transparent about who you are, your voice as a writer, and what you're passionate about, trust me, it will come through your content, anything that you write. If you're convinced that you want to be a writer, you want to be a freelance writer online, or you want to ghostwrite books, know that the more you write, the more you will go down this like journey of self-discovery. And you're going to realize, because you're writing and going through the motions of different mental processes, and you're navigating through your feelings and your thoughts and what you're thinking and your opinions, you're going to go through self-discovery, and you're going to learn a lot about yourself, your mind, and the way that you approach different types of projects. Don't be afraid to go niche. I know that you're going to be tempted to be like, okay, I can write about everything. And although it could be true, in the beginning, go extremely niche. If your thing is writing novels and it's fiction novels about werewolves and vampires, do that. There are people out there right now looking to hire someone specifically because they're trying to create a brand of poetry books. You know, that's their thing. There are people out there right now that all they want to do is they want to publish devotionals for kids. If that's your thing and you know you can do it, just advertise yourself as a devotional writer. There are so many different niches out there. You need to define what you want to write about, what you're passionate about, and go for that. If this was helpful, go ahead and give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next video.